And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, in the last few minutes, we have got several emails, all pretty much saying the same thing. Even though it's December and the year is almost over and we're literally a week away from our big drop of the year show, there are quite a few people that think we have a late dark horse entry for drop of the year.
Trailblazing is rarely comfortable, yo.
They might not be wrong.
You know, I got a text message from a friend who said that he's pulling a Jasmine Crockett, where you look at the early videos of Jasmine Crockett and she speaks like a well-educated lawyer. And then you look at Jasmine Crockett now and she acts like she's one of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Ricardo Lara, however, this is how he talks. I don't think this is him trying to play a character.
I'm very kind of sketchy.
Trailblazing is rarely comfortable. Yo.
Now, Johnny, before we move on, we made a grave mistake in the last segment.
What's that?
Well, you had referenced former California State Senate Pro Tem and former LA City Councilman Kevin De Leon. And you know we have a rule on this show. If you mention Kevin De Leon, you got to hear the pledge.
Madam President, today is Tuesday and time for the flag salute.
Mr. De Leon, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning?
Thank you very much, Madam President. It'd be an honor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Indivisible. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oof.
Boy, that makes every day feel like the 4th of July, doesn't it?
Trailblazing is rarely comfortable, yo.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Well, this next story is one of my favorite kinds of stories in the sense that it involves a dramatic confrontation at a public hearing that isn't my HOA board.
It happened in Fresno as the Fresno County Board of Supervisors has had it up to here with a nonprofit that's supposed to place sex offenders into housing because Fresno wants to pass a new ordinance limiting how many sex offenders can all live together in the same domicile.
Because right now it's like the Brady Bunch of rapists, right? Here comes Ma with 3 of her own, and here comes Pa with 3 of his own.
For more, we go to ABC 30 in Fresno.
Fresno County is now a step closer to restricting the number of sex offenders who can live in one home. The Board of Supervisors announced...
Okay, now question. Hear me out. If you put a ton of sex offenders in one house, it could lead to certain good things. For example, no one would be fighting over the television. That thing would be on Nickelodeon 24/7, and no one would ever want to change the channel.
The Board of Supervisors announced the measure yesterday and unanimously approved it during the first of 2 hearings today. Action News reporter Carrie Mannix joins us now live in the studio with the heated exchange before that vote. Carrie?
Margot, during today's board meeting, Old Fig Garden residents complained specifically about a local nonprofit that houses registered sex offenders.
Okay, now I just thought of something else. This is a problem. If, let's say, because you have a bunch of people living at a house, you're going to have a bunch of cars parked outside, right?
You would think so, yes.
Okay, let's just say that you're the Ann B. Davis of the house. You're the woman that has to clean up after the sex offenders. And you notice that someone left their lights on outside. Someone's car was in danger of having the battery go dead. And all the sex offenders, they're sitting there in the living room. They're watching Nickelodeon. You have to get their attention so that the person who left their lights on their car goes and turns it off. And you say to the room full of sex offenders, Will the guy with the van with no windows turn their lights off? Then everyone just turns around and heads for the door.
If these are the kind of jokes we're starting with this segment, how long before you start going too blue?
Only time will tell.
The leader of that nonprofit argued they're actually making the community safer, but one supervisor made it clear he doesn't agree, lashing out with profanity.
Oh, boy.
Here we go. Buckle up, kids.
I think it's very important when people sling to call and I.
Whoa.
That's a fun one.
That's the elected talking?
Yes, this is a elected supervisor in Fresno County.
I think it's very important when people sling to call and I think, Mr. Coyle, you sling a lot of.
Well, I'm glad the guy with the button didn't call in sick today.
Now, I'm fairly certain he used the same phrase 3 times in a row.
Okay, so he wasn't mixing it up with the profanity.
As far as I can tell, it's the same thing over and over and over again.
I think it's very important when people sling to call and I think, Mr. Coyle, you sling a lot of.
It almost sounds like an LA City Council meeting.
Well, it's way cleaner than those.
Fresno County Supervisor Gary Bredefeld had no kind words for Centers of Living CEO John Coyle Tuesday.
Centers of Living. Oh, what's that? Well, we put sex offenders into homes.
Okay, if you don't allow this to happen, then what are the realtors supposed to do if they're trying to sell a home that's right next to a Chuck E. Cheese?
The leader of the nonprofit was asking the Board of Supervisors to reconsider a measure that would restrict the number of sex offenders living in one home to 6.
Wait, what was it before?
6?
That's the new limit.
What was it, like 12?
Maybe they all had bunk beds.
That's a lot of sex offenders in one house.
Stable and supervised housing reduces risk. Homelessness increases it.
This is the head of yet another nonprofit that is profiting off of homelessness.
How would you like to be the next door neighbor to that house?
This ordinance causes homelessness and eliminates the accountability that we provide.
We know everyone loves that word.
They do in California.
Centers for Living operates multiple homes in Fresno County to reintroduce the homeless community into society.
Wait, so are you saying that there's a large portion of the homeless community that are sex offenders?
They're homeless and rapists?
Centers for Living operates multiple homes in Fresno County to reintroduce the homeless community into society. Coyle's wife and co-founder says of the 1,200 people they've served, 260 of them were registered sex offenders.
Wait, that's almost a quarter.
Okay. Imagine if the home for sale next to you goes and you go, okay, hopefully it's going to be a nice honeymooner couple. They're going to come over. We'll bring them a casserole, maybe bake them some cookies, let the kids go trick-or-treating over there on Halloween. And then you find out, oh no, it's transitional housing for the homeless. And then you go, oh, no. And they go, I'm not done yet. It's a transitional house for homeless sex offenders.
I know that this is just a random sample and it might not be representative of the whole state, but it also might be. This nonprofit that houses the homeless has helped out 1,200 people over the last few years, and a quarter of them are registered sex offenders.
Coyle's wife and co-founder says of the 1,200 people they've served, 260 of them were registered sex offenders. She spoke about one of the neighborhoods facing scrutiny.
My husband and I actually personally live on the property above the garage on one of the Gettysburg properties.
How well do you sleep?
And you're bragging about this?
So what do? Keep them in the garage?
It sounds like it.
This is not a distant oversight.
They don't even let you keep 5 cats.
How could you keep more sex offenders than cats?
This is not a distant oversight. This is a daily, hands-on responsibility.
I think that was the problem in the first place.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate use of words there, lady.
They got into the situation they were in because they were a little too hands-on.
This is a daily, hands-on responsibility in the same neighborhoods where we live.
Don Coyle.
How do your neighbors feel about that?
Okay, think about the argument that she's using here. The neighbors don't want it, correct?
Well, yes, that's why they brought this to the attention of the Kersey Board of Supervisors.
Okay, so they are there. This woman and her husband and their company is there to rehabilitate registered sex offenders as they re-enter society, correct?
Well, I don't know if there's any rehabilitation. They're just housing them.
Okay. And the first lesson they're teaching these people is, the neighbors say no, but we say yes. And the neighbors can say no, 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 no. But sometimes when you just have to force it, it's got to happen.
Don Coyle added that at least 2 managers are on site 24/7, but their neighbors say it's not nearly enough.
I've witnessed their supervision of these guys walking through the neighborhood, catcalling at various women. I've personally seen that.
Oh, boy.
Oh, come on.
Love to see this in my neighborhood.
It's not even a construction site.
Still, the Coyles say providing stability to everyone they serve helps limit the risk of reoffenses.
Doesn't sound like it.
Oh, yeah. I guess we have to push this car off a cliff to see what's going to happen.
They also denied the county's claims that they've regularly had more than 6 sex offenders living on their properties at one time. But Bredefeld didn't.
It's a sex offender farm.
What is it, like the Branch Davidians? They just put 8 people in a room?
And these are the kinds of organizations that come up with very lucrative county contracts. They're not doing this out of the kindness of their own hearts. They're getting paid to put these people in a neighborhood that they're supervising.
Oh, yes. There's a lot of money involved in this.
But Bredefeld didn't buy it.
Law enforcement officers have come in there, and there have been many times more than 6. So that's a bunch of crap.
I love this guy.
What do you think the internet search history looks like in that house?
So that's a bunch of crap, and what you sling is a bunch of crap.
Well, at least he cleaned that part up.
Much cleaner than at the beginning of the piece.
So that's a bunch of crap, and what you sling is a bunch of crap. I think it's very important when people sling to call, and I think, Mr. Coyle, you sling a lot of.
He really likes to say sling.
He seems really mad.
So that's a bunch of crap, and what you sling is a bunch of crap. As for housing and these poor homeless pedophiles and sex offenders, I have a solution for the homeless crisis for them. They belong in prison. There's a home for them there.
I like this guy.
You don't hear politicians talk like this very often.
Well, when he started, I thought he was going to say we have a place for him. It's called the bottom of the Pacific Ocean.
They belong in jail.
John Coyle pushed back against Bredefeld's comments, saying he's witnessed reform firsthand.
We did not cause this issue, nor did our residents. Yet some of the authors of this ordinance are responding to the opinions of a very small number of emotionally charged neighbors.
Yeah, ones who are no longer feeling safe in their homes because they're next to a bunch of registered sex offenders.
I'm telling you, think about the logic of this. I said it before. This is what they're teaching these people. This is what they're teaching them when they come. They know no one wants to be around them because of what they did. They know it's not safe because they're continuing to exhibit that kind of behavior. But the attitude is, who cares what the neighbors have to say?
Instead of facts.
The board's next hearing on this proposed ordinance will be January 6th. If it passes, it will take effect 30 days later. Fresno City Attorney Andrew Jans told me the city is also considering a similar measure and is looking forward to partnering with the county. Carrie Mannix, ABC 30 Action News.
And of course, this is all over making sure that no more than 6 registered sex offenders are living in the same house.
I can only imagine if something like this popped up next to me. You just have to move. You would just have to find a new house.
I think it's very important when people sling to call, and I think, Mr. Coyle, you sling a lot of.
And there are certain neighborhoods, too, where there's just a ton of these things. Costa Mesa, I know people who live in Costa Mesa, and for whatever reason, I don't know why they decided Costa Mesa and Garden Grove, because this happened in my old neighborhood in Garden Grove. It wasn't for homeless pedophiles, but it was for people who were coming out of jail or people who had other problems.
Transitional housing.
Yes. And they would put them in these homes. And the problem was not even the people who lived in the homes. The problem was they violated the rules nonstop, and they're not supposed to talk to people from the outside. But the loser boyfriends, because the home in my neighborhood was for women, the loser boyfriends would all show up, and they wouldn't park in front of that house because then it would be obvious. So they park in other parts of the neighborhood, and they smoke their dope, and they hang out, and they leave their trash behind. And because it's a male-female relationship, sometimes there's lovemaking that goes on in public spaces. It was a whole situation. And then when the people who live in the neighborhood complain about it, they treat you like you're a bigot, like you have no compassion for someone who's hit a rough patch in their life. And it's like, okay, well, if the person who hit the rough patch in their life could act like a normal person, I wouldn't even know they were there. But because all the bad behavior follows them, everyone in the neighborhood knows what's going on in that house because you can't avoid it. And that's just with people getting out of prison, women getting out of prison. I can only imagine what these beauties are like. 800-222-5222 is a telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Eric writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Guys, Gary Bredderfield is the only sane politician in Fresno. He's a psychologist in his day job.
I think it's very important when people sling to call, and I think, Mr. Coyle, you sling a lot of.
What do you think a session is like with him?
It sounds like he's the Judge Judy of psychiatrists. I thought Dr. Laura had that corner wrapped up, but apparently this guy's cutting in on the action.
I think it's very important when people sling to call, and I think, Mr. Coyle, you sling a lot of.
And now that we've hit the halfway point of today's show, Randy, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
You know, some would call us in this business, since we've been doing this such a long time, trailblazers.
Trailblazing is rarely comfortable, yo.
And if you want to support this trailblazing, you can search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can do a Google on the YouTube. You can get the free KABC app. You can get the free KSFO app. You can get the KMJ Now app. We're on Fresno Saturdays at 2. There are so many different ways to listen live to this radio station that you're listening to right now and download all the podcasts. You can share them with your friends. You can make us even bigger and really, really cement the fact that we are trailblazers.
Trailblazing is really comfortable. Yo.
You know where they love trailblazers?
Where's that?
Portland. And in Seattle, they used to like the Supersonics. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. And the mailbag has been quite something today with all the Ricardo Laura emails.
Oh, we'll get to more of them at the top of the show, as at the top of the hour, because we're getting even more requests that I have to work on throughout the breaks.
And apologies if I giggle for no reason at some point during today's show, because every time a new one pops in, it makes me smile.
Trailblazing is rarely comfortable, yo.
And right now it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
It's happened yet again.
It's Wild Wild West out here.
It's the California Crime Blotter with John
and Randy.
And Randy, you could say this one is a case of fraud.
There's a term for this kind of crime, and it's quite graphic, but they call it pig butchering. Pig butchering is when a elderly person falls for a scam that has them donating their entire life savings into a crypto account.
Okay, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but whatever happened to the good old days when the only people who had this scam going on were Jim and Tammy Faye?
For more on the latest victim in pig butchering in San Jose, here's ABC 7 in the Bay. That rhymed.
A really cruel scam known as pig butchering has struck yet another Bay Area resident. This time, an elderly widow in San Jose thought she found new love online.
You never will. Stop it.
Oh, dear.
Instead, she was targeted by crypto scammers who took nearly $1 million of her money. 7 on your side, Steph.
There is going to be a point in all of our lives where you have to start really paying attention to the things your parents are saying they saw on Facebook.
I can only imagine how many red flags are involved in this story.
7 on your side, Stephanie Sierra says it left her with almost nothing to live on.
Well, it's a brutal realization. These victims lured into what seems like a loving relationship, only to realize they got caught in a trap.
It's catfish on steroids.
For whatever reason, that's the show I watch on airplanes all the time.
Margaret Look is busy in the kitchen of her San Jose home, but the only food is in the pictures on the wall.
Okay, I'm already sad.
What, she eating cat food?
I hardly cook because I'm alone.
Instead, her kitchen is overwhelmed with paperwork, bank statements, and wire transfer documents.
$15,000.
The remains of a heartless scam that took nearly $1 million of her money, leaving Margaret with almost nothing to live on.
Why? I'm so stupid. I let him scam me.
We cannot turn that into a drop.
No, we cannot.
As much as you'd want to do it, and as much as the audience wants us to, that would be in poor taste.
When you are a victim of a crime, we hold you to a different standard than the usual nonsense that makes the wall.
I'm so stupid. I let him scam me.
No. You're going to have to go against your impulse.
We're just going to move past it. I'm going to forget this existed, as tempting as it is.
I was really, really depressed. I have a garden here.
Margaret looks out over the balcony of the 2-bedroom condo she bought for retirement, fearing she will lose that too.
All my money is gone to the scammer.
Poor lady.
Yeah.
Her quiet life was upended last May when a friend connected.
Can I get an assist, Cecily?
Her quiet life was upended last May when.
Thank you.
There's lots of assists that have been going on today.
Her quiet life was upended last May when a friend connected her with a man on Facebook.
She was browsing and then she said, oh, this is a nice guy. You just say hi to him.
Wait, a friend of hers says this is a nice guy, you should say hi to him?
A real friend or someone you only know from the internet?
I would imagine someone she only knows from the internet. So she's got some random Facebook friend that says, hey, meet my other Facebook friend. He nice.
You just say hi to him. And then you say, oh, how are you? Where are you from? I say, we are from San Jose. And then he said, oh, I like to, meet people from San Jose, and I'm from Texas.
Okay, who has ever said, and nothing against San Jose, but who has ever said, I like to meet people from San Jose?
Someone who is actually a machine.
He said, oh, I like to, meet people from San Jose, and I'm from Texas.
His name was Ed, a businessman, also of Chinese descent. They began chatting online. Then on the WhatsApp message service.
He was
Yeah, usually these conversations, oh, you know what? Why don't we go over to this private secured texting because I don't want anyone to see the things I'm about to ask you.
Then on the WhatsApp message service.
He was really nice to me, greet me every morning. He say he likes me.
See, this is why they call it pig butchering. This is the fattening you up part of it.
He say he likes me. You know, we are Chinese.
Every day they share details of their...
I like you. You're Chinese. I'm Chinese. Doesn't take much, I guess.
Nope, it doesn't. She's lonely.
How many times have her kids called her this month?
My guess is a lot less than when she had the money.
He say he likes me. You know, we are Chinese.
Every day they share details of their daily life, what they ate, where they went, their common heritage. He was calling her honey. She called him love.
Oh, no.
So it was a full-on online relationship.
You think it ever got worse than PG-13?
I don't think she ever got any, if that's what you're asking.
She texted, "When I think of someone special, it's you that comes to my mind." And he wrote, "The feelings between us are real. I hope our love can last forever."
Every day he's kind of say sweet talk to me. So I say, oh, maybe, you know, I'm lonely too, right?
Yet he would never meet her in person and insisted they kept their romance a secret.
Red flag.
Okay. Right now it's time for a public service announcement. If you're talking to someone online and they want to move the conversation over to a more secure forum so you can communicate with one another, they can't meet you in person for some reason or another, and someone you don't know is the one who recommended that you start talking to them. And I know that all of us are supposed to have self-esteem and we're supposed to think highly of ourselves, but let me burst a certain bubble here. If you're the last surviving widow from the Ming Dynasty, some wealthy businessman from Texas has no interest in you.
And insisted they kept their romance a secret.
And then he start asking me, what investment do you have?
Oh, of course.
Because that's what people do when they're courting.
And I say, I'm very simple. I don't have any investment.
Ed told Margaret she could be rich.
He said, did you hear anything about crypto thing?
Red flag.
Why don't I give you $15,000 to invest? So I said, no, I have $15,000.
He guided her.
See, originally, I was going to give you money to invest in crypto.
Well, because her boyfriend is so generous.
He guided her to wire her money into an online account and then log into a crypto investment site.
I went into the platform to trade $15,000. I make about $24,000.
The app showed she...
Boy, that was just magic, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, she keeps it up. She can move from San Jose to Los Gatos.
The app showed she earned a big profit in seconds. Ed told Margaret to invest more. And
red flag.
And she did, of course.
And
oh, you think it stopped at 15,000? Come on.
And just trust me, I will make $1 million over for you.
So she wired $120,000 from her IRA account.
Wow, she 10x'd it.
Well, if she's making money hand over fist, why not?
So she wired $120,000 from her IRA account into Discover Bank and then to the online account. Again, the app showed big profits.
And he said, oh, no, now you have to put $490. Then I say, why so much?
This poor lady.
You can tell what type of person she is. How if you met her on a street, at a coffee shop, in a restaurant, at a holiday gathering, whatever, she would be a sweet lady, and she was just prey for this guy.
Again, this is why they call it pig butchering.
Ed told her she had to keep investing to reach their $5 million goal. Reluctantly, she wired another $490,000 from her IRA account. Again,
That is a lot of retirement savings going right out the window.
Yeah, and she's not going to get it back.
Again, her money seemed to grow. Ed told her she could make even more.
I'm a simple person. I don't know how to trade, so I follow him whatever he tells.
By the way, she's at a certain age. It seems like she had quite a lot of money in that IRA. How much money did she need? Maybe she was trying to make sure that her kids were set for life. The ones that weren't calling her.
Wait, what are you alleging here? This woman doesn't sound like she's got a cocaine addiction or anything like that.
I wasn't alleging anything.
I'm a simple person. I don't know how to trade, so I follow him whatever he tells me.
So she's doing this because she thinks she's in love with this guy, and she thinks the way to connect with him is to collaborate on this crypto scheme.
To make her boyfriend that she hasn't met happy.
So I follow him whatever he tells me.
So she wired him the last $62,000 from her IRA. But Ed did not stop there.
He wants me to put another $1 million. So I don't have the money.
Boy, they just keep going.
Well, he's going to keep going until she says no.
So I don't have the money.
Now, Ed was not so loving.
And he was on the phone with me, constantly pushing me and say, you have to borrow $600.
She searched for a lender, obtained a $300,000 second mortgage, then wired all.
Kids, at a certain point, it's good to get power of attorney.
Okay, so what do they call this again?
Pig butchering.
Pig butchering. And they call it pig butchering because they build you up and then they slice you up.
Yes.
And this guy was real nice to her, and then he turned real mean.
Yes, because we've upped the ante to the point where she says she doesn't have any more money, so sweet kisses are only going to go so far. Now it's time for threats.
And then he chops her up. So this is turning into sweet and sour pork.
She searched for a lender, obtained a $300,000 second mortgage, then wired all that money too. But
lender doesn't think that's a little strange?
At no point did anyone in this process say don't do that.
It seemed like her crypto.
Have you ever spent money on vacation in a Caribbean island and you're trying to buy, I don't know, jerk chicken for lunch, and then suddenly they reject your card because you're out of the country and they're trying to charge you in some other currency? And then you have to text 1 for this is me and 2, it's fraud. At no point did that happen.
It seemed like her crypto account now totaled $2.4 million, and Margaret needed to cash out.
She's a millionaire.
And I have a feeling that's when this scam ended.
Then came the shock.
When I go into the platform to get my money, he freezes it.
Ed said she had to come up with $1 million to unfreeze the account or lose everything.
Sounds like an honest gentleman.
I don't have the money. And then he said, you have to do it. You have to borrow from your friend, whoever you have.
He began threatening legal action and left a chilling voice message.
I don't want we be the enemies. Want my lawyers contact with you.
And at some point, we're supposed to believe he was a real charmer, huh?
I don't want we.
Well, you know what's the sad truth about this? This guy is probably in some Malaysian warehouse with a gun to his head because he's a slave doing this. That's usually the people that are on the other end of this. They're being forced to commit this.
So wait, so you think this is a live human and not AI?
No, this is a live human, but he's not the one personally profiting off of this.
I don't want we be the enemies. Want my lawyers contact with you.
Desperate, Margaret consulted ChatGPT. ChatGPT
told me, no, this is a scam. You better go.
Even the AI knew that this was a scam.
Yeah, she could have gone to her 7-year-old grandson, too.
By the way, think of all the human interaction she had to have with the IRA that she withdrawed massive amounts from several times and nobody says anything. The mortgage that she gets on her home and nobody says anything. But when she asks the robot, hey, do you know what's going on here? The robot knows that she's being scammed.
Yeah, the robots are going to take over.
ChatGPT told me, no, this is a scam. You better go to the police station. At that time, I panicked and I called him. I said, Ed, you are scamming me.
Turns out that all along, Margaret had been wiring her money directly to a bank in Malaysia.
Told you it was Malaysia.
You got that right.
Where scammers picked it up. It was all part of a growing scheme known as pig butchering, with large organizations operating overseas. The scammers set up fake romantic relationships to lure victims into buying phony crypto, shattering millions of lives.
I'm trying to help myself to save this house. I don't know where am I going to stay, right?
Margaret lost not only her savings, but now faces a huge tax bill for withdrawing all the funds out of her IRA account at once.
Oh, no.
I don't know what you do with this because the money's gone. She's probably going to be poor the rest of her life. You can't claw it back from a foreign entity. I don't know what happens here.
Now, 7 on Your Side has heard from several other victims of pig butchering. An important warning here to never invest with someone you've never met. For 7 on Your Side Investigates, I'm Stephanie Sierra, ABC 7 News.
There's nothing that can be done for her. The only thing that can be done is spreading awareness. And if you've got lonely relatives, make sure they know all the warning signs because this is so common, it is scary.
Let's go to Stan. Stan, hello.
Hey, Mr. Phillips, Mr. Wang, your PSA that you gave was right on the money. The problem is it didn't go to the people that need to hear it, sadly. I'm a retired policeman, and for 2 years of my career, I worked financial crimes with emphasis on elder crime. And what I saw there is absolutely pathetic. I mean, where do you begin with this thing? It happens a lot. And my only advice, and you touched on it, is if you have an elder parent, you need to keep an eye on them like a hawk because there's tons of people out there that are willing to take their money away, and they're lonely, and they want love, and they want conversation, and they're willing to give it up. They'll give up their Social Security numbers and their passwords to people. But having said that, I've seen all too many cases of where the grandkids are the suspects, stealing from grandma and grandpa for the same reason. So it's a tough world, and it's beyond deplorable, and I hate to use that word, but despicable and pathetic. It's a shame. And the chances of getting prosecutions are not very high, especially when it's overseas. If it's overseas, which a lot of this is, the money's gone. These other countries, they don't want to work with us or reluctant to, or just don't have the capability of doing it. So I don't know. It's very sad.
All right. Well, thank you for the call. And what you just described is 100% true. I know of one case where the individual got elderly. They had grandchildren who had a lot of problems. And one of the daughters put the grandchildren on the payroll. This is the nurse. This is the helper. This is the this. And by the time she died, there was nothing left. And everyone in the will said, what the hell? All right. We got one more hour coming up on The John Phillips Show.